That $300 Milwaukee impact driver and that $89 Ryobi on the budget shelf at Home Depot are made by the same company. DeWalt, Craftsman, Porter Cable, and Black & Decker all share the same owner, the same factories, and sometimes the same production lines. The entire tool industry is controlled by two corporations, Stanley Black & Decker, worth $15.8 billion, and Tektronic Industries, a conglomerate out of Hong Kong worth over $13 billion. And every time you buy one of their tools, you are paying for that corporate machine. You are paying for the advertising, the sponsorships, the executive salaries, and the shareholder dividends. Harbor Freight sits completely outside that system. No shareholders, no corporate parent. Right now, 15 of their tools are matching or beating the big brands in independent tests. Here they are. Number 1, the Hercules 20-volt brushless compact drill. This costs roughly $80 less than the comparable DeWalt. Customers rate it 4.7 out of 5 stars across thousands of reviews. In speed tests by Pro Tool Reviews, the Hercules held 1,409 revolutions per minute with a 3/4-inch auger bit. The DeWalt still leads at 1,948 revolutions per minute, but you are paying more than double for that gap. For 90% of what a homeowner or contractor actually does with a drill, the Hercules handles it. Number 2, the Hercules half-inch brushless impact wrench, 1,500 foot-pounds of bolt breakaway torque. The comparable Milwaukee costs over $100 more. In real-world bolt removal tests, the results are not dramatically different, yet the savings are substantial. If you are pulling lug nuts, working on suspension, or breaking rusty bolts, this tool does not care that it costs half as much. Number 3, the Icon G2 3/8 drive extra long ratchet. This is where it gets serious. Harbor Freight built the Icon line to compete directly with Snap-on, not DeWalt, not Milwaukee. Snap-on is the brand professional mechanics pay thousands for from the back of a tool truck. In a head-to-head destruction test by the Torque Test Channel, the Icon G2 ratchet snapped at 310 foot-pounds of torque. The Snap-on equivalent broke first. A Harbor Freight ratchet outlasted a Snap-on in a torture test at roughly 1/3 the price. Aircraft mechanics on professional forums now run Icon ratchets as daily drivers and report 0 issues after over a year of heavy use. Number 4, the Fortress Ultra Quiet Air Compressor. It built a cult following almost overnight. It delivers more pounds per square inch than the comparable DeWalt 6-gallon model, runs so quietly you can hold a conversation standing next to it, and costs 30 to 40% less than comparable quiet models from California Air Tools. Forum users who have owned both say the Fortress is the better buy. Number 5, the Hercules 12-inch sliding compound miter saw. DeWalt charges $499 for a comparable model. The Hercules costs significantly less and carries a 4.9-star rating with over 3,000 reviews. That is one of the highest ratings on the entire Harbor Freight website. But here is what most people never stop to think about. Stanley Black & Decker generated $15.8 billion in revenue last year. They own DeWalt, Craftsman, Black & Decker, Stanley, Irwin, Lennox, Porter Cable, and Bostitch. Some of those brands share engineering teams and factory lines. A DeWalt and a Craftsman product may have rolled off the same production line with a different sticker. Tektronic Industries, the parent behind Milwaukee, generated over $13 billion. They own Milwaukee, license the Ryobi and Rigid names, and key executives have jumped between these companies for decades. A former Bosch and DeWalt executive now runs Milwaukee. The tool industry is a revolving door of talent, technology, and manufacturing, all hidden behind brand loyalty that costs you 200 to 400% more. Harbor Freight is the only major tool retailer that sits completely outside this system. Number 6. The Daytona Super Duty Floor Jack. Snap-on once sued Harbor Freight because this jack looked too similar to their own model. If a premium brand feels threatened enough to take legal action, that tells you everything about the quality. The Daytona lifts fast, feels rock solid, and costs roughly 1/3 the price of a Snap-on jack. It is a Reddit favorite for good reason. Number 7. The Bauer Random Orbital Sander. Around $30 cheaper than the comparable DeWalt, with more orbits per minute for a smoother finish. It holds a 4.5-star rating with nearly 4,500 reviews. One of the most battle-tested tools in the Bauer lineup. Number 8. Icon Long Reach Pistol Grip Needle Nose Pliers. These retail for about $20. The Snap-on version they are modeled after costs $92. Out of over 130 customer reviews, every single person who mentioned Snap-on said the Icon was just as good or better. One reviewer bought a backup pair because, at that price, why not? Number 9. The Hercules Brushless Angle Grinder. Contractors report keeping a Hercules grinder on their truck because the performance is comparable to Milwaukee. And if it gets damaged on a job site, they are not out $200. At this price, it is professional output with disposable tool risk. And this is where the list takes a turn most people do not expect. Number 10. Bauer plastic sawhorses with built-in clamps. Most people overlook these, thinking light means weak. But the two clamps, built into the body, hold your material in place like an extra pair of hands. At around $20 each, these outperform models twice the price. Older users can lift them easily. No assembly, no extra tools, just unfold and use. Number 11. The Braun LED Rechargeable Slim Bar Work Light. It sells for around $30 versus over $100 for similar lights from Snap-on. The magnets are strong enough to hold it to any metal surface. Multiple mechanics report a $20 Braun light outlasting $100 name brand work lights by a factor of 10. Number 12. The Hercules Beam Cutter Attachment. For about $60, this turns any circular saw into a dedicated beam cutter for thick stock. It works with DeWalt, Milwaukee, Bauer, even your grandfather's old Craftsman saw. 3 weekends of deck work and rental fees already cost more than 4 times the price of the attachment. Number 13. The Icon 251-piece Professional Tool Set. Harbor Freight sells it for $799. The equivalent Snap-on tools, purchased individually, would cost well over $3,000. That is the tool truck markup professional mechanics have been paying for decades because they had no alternative. Now they do. Number 14. Predator Foldable Solar Panels. The 200-watt version fully charges a Predator 1200 in about 6 hours and costs $229, which is 30 to 50% cheaper than specialized overlanding brands. Users rate them 4.5 out of 5 stars across various weather conditions. Number 15. The Quinn Precision Screwdriver Set. Every bit grips screws firmly with zero slippage. The rotating cap lets you spin the bit with your fingertip for delicate electronics work. At around $12, it delivers a feel comparable to sets from Craftsman or Husky that cost twice as much. Here is the final math. If you bought these 15 tools from DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Snap-on, you would spend somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000. The Harbor Freight equivalents come in under $2,000 total. That is $2,000 to $4,000 saved on tools that perform within 5 to 10% of the name brands in real-world use. And in some cases, like the Icon G2 ratchet, the Harbor Freight tool flat out won. The question is not whether these tools are as good as DeWalt and Milwaukee. The question is whether DeWalt and Milwaukee are 200 to 400% better, because that is the premium you are paying. After looking at the data, the answer is no, they are not.